All right. So, yes, welcome to Clarity Talks, the synergy of mindset and communication. What is the synergy that we are talking about? When we are talking about humanizing business, which is what Joy advocates, when we are talking about the current times, when business is all about promoting people, whether it's your internal customer or external customer, at that time, how important it is for us to understand the mindset of the customer. Because when we are trying to listen to the customer, what the customer is saying, whether it is our internal or our external customer, what inspires them, what motivates them, what is it that makes them come to you, come to your organization? When we are trying to listen to that, we also have to look at a couple of other things, which is, where is that person coming from? What is that person thinking? What is that person thinking about themselves and about you? And how, when we pick up on these cues, we can improve and make our own communication much more effective, so that our connect with our customer is much stronger than what it was before. So that's the purpose of bringing Clarity Talks to you, about how do you humanize business. And when you want to humanize business, how do you first make your humans think clearly? So that's the purpose. And today's webinar is all about clarity of listening. Listening, which is one of the most important aspect for any communication, whether we are talking about communication with our internal customers or our external customers, whether we are talking about setting up our strategy, whether we are talking about establishing our brand, whatever it is. If we don't listen, what we will speak will be irrelevant. What say, Joy?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would like to start with, as you get into it, point out there's a difference between listening and hearing. And that's one of the takeaways I'm sure we'll have at the end of this session, because these two are, when we speak in English, we use these two interchangeably. But actually, listening and hearing are two different things. Back to you, Naeem.
Thank you, Joy. Very well said. Listening and hearing are absolutely two different things. So just to give you an example, I'd like to start this exercise with this webinar with a small exercise on listening. Okay, what is listening? Very simple. Joy is going to be speaking to us about some nice things. And what we are going to do is that we're going to listen. Okay. Now, what I want Arun you to do and let you to do is that you cannot speak. Okay. You cannot comment. When Joy is speaking, we need to listen. But there is a voice inside our head which keeps throwing suggestions, which keeps asking questions. Hey, why did he say that? What made him say that? I want to know more about this. I want to stop him here. And then you have these urges where you want to ask a question. So as many times as you have this voice inside your head, or this urge to ask a question, to interrupt, to correct him, you cannot say anything, but I want you to just lift your hand. Okay? So when you're listening to Joy, every time that you hear that voice, just just lift your hands. That's all you need to do. Okay? I will explain the purpose after we finish this exercise. Okay? So we're just going to do it for a minute. So Joy, you're going to speak extempo for a minute. So pick a topic of your choice, and there you go.
Ready?
Ready.
So isn't it amazing where the world has come to in just a short span of 16 months? Look at this. We're in 3 different time zones. We are working, doing something that is of interest to us, and yet we are not physically anywhere near each other. 16 months ago, Nahid and I would probably be doing this in a conference room with about 20 people, physically at an arm's length away, wanting and explaining what listening is all about. Today, we can do this as long as we invest our time. And that's what I'd like to highlight. When you invest time, because time is the only common asset that we all have amongst all of us, when you invest that time, you're giving one of the most valuable possessions you can to the party on the other side. Whether they appreciate it, they understand it, they respect it, that's their call. Very rarely do we get value of time when we give that time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, I'm impressed with Arun and Lech. Not a single, they're like great, man.
No, not at all. Now here I will give you the analysis. So Arun and Lech did not raise their hands. Okay, why didn't you raise your hands? I cannot hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, I just listening what he is just telling first. So first I just observe the listening skill. So what he is, what kind of topic he is just talking about on the current situation, everything. Because if I concentrate on any other thing, if I raise a hand or anything, means I have to give some order to my hand.
Okay, good.
That's why I just listen.
Thank you, Arun. Lech?
I think I listened to your instruction. I heard what was the instruction given, and I waited till Joy ended the session, and so I was listening through with the instruction given.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Now, let me tell you, you didn't raise your hand, but what was happening is you were going like this.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this means inside you something said, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. I agree. Something said, and the head moved then. So you didn't raise your hands, you moved your head. Okay. So this is another thing about listening. I was listening to you, not just with my ears, but also with my eyes.
Very important to know. I'm sorry to jump in on this point because this one mesmerizes me all the times. And I really, both of you, want you all to pick this one up. It's really great.
Okay, so when I gave you the instructions, raise your hand, you were very conscious about the fact that if I raise my hand, I might get disrupted or I need to listen. She said it's all about listening, so I'm going to listen to him. So consciously, you made that choice not to raise your hand, but the subconscious has a mind of its own. And the subconscious was doing what it had to do, which was nodding. And it was nodding because something inside your head was saying yes. And hence the head went like this. Otherwise, your head would never move. Why will it move? If there is nothing inside, why should your head move? So we think that we are the other person will get our full attention because we are listening, and it's important to nod when we are listening to somebody. But where there are two ways why the nods happen. One is, of course, to make the other person feel that you're being heard. Well, I'm not listening, but you are being heard. And the other is, in this case, which happened is when I told you that, you pick up your hand and listen to it and listen to that voice. And you were very consciously listening to Joy and not to that inner voice in your head. So here you're listening to whatever Joy was saying was most effective. Because your conscious mind had been given the instruction to listen very, very carefully. And your subconscious mind had been given the instruction, lift a hand if you have to say something. So it said, no, I'm going to concentrate on listening. And it just made you nod. Here, your listening was much more effective than if I would have not asked you to do these things.
Yes.
This is the simple difference between hearing and listening. When we hear, oh yes, of course, I'm supposed to listen to the other person, but I'm listening based on my perspective. I'm listening because more than I'm listening to Joy, I would have been listening to that voice in my head. And when Joy would have said, we have got the time to invest, someone would have come and said, yes, you're very right, Joy. You would have articulated. Right? Because yes, you were listening, absolutely, but you were listening first to the voice inside your head, then to Joy. And this is what normally happens. And this is unconscious. It's not that you consciously do it. It's something which happens on a very, very automatic response, I should say. that when we listen to somebody, internally we are giving responses. Yes, I agree. No, I don't agree with this. What makes him say this? Oh, no, he doesn't have the figures. No, he's got it wrong. There is this internal response going on a loop. And when that internal response is going on a loop, then we are listening to respond. How do I respond to my customer? How do I respond to the query? We are not listening to understand where is this query coming from? What makes the customer say this? What is this customer actually looking for? I don't want to understand that. I want to understand how do I best counter his objections? How do I best counter his words so that I can pull him in the sale? And you don't need to pull him, you just need to, how do you say? Mesmerize.
Say the right things, yeah. Say the right things that trigger.
Yeah, so you need to just guide him into the sale. You don't need to pull him anywhere. And that happens when you listen to the person, because when you listen to the person, right now, when you were listening to Joy, you were in a rapport with Joy. So when you didn't need to raise your hand, but your subconscious nods were a thing that your subconscious is listening to what Joy is saying. So your concentration on that was 100%. Okay? And when you are in rapport, after that, if you would have raised your hand and said something, because you are in a rapport, Joy would be led into wherever you would have taken Joy. That is called leading. And that happens when we can listen to what the customer is saying. So when we are speaking about this listening, it is also with our eyes, with our ears, with our head, and with our heart. How can I say this? Just a simple example, going back to when we started this and I asked you to raise your hands, but you did not. But because I was listening with my eyes, I was listening with my head, so I was concentrating on what Joy is saying with my ears and my head. But with my eyes, I was looking at your nods. Right now, even Lech is nodding. So yes, there is something which is inside her subconscious, which is saying yes or agreeing to it. All right? So
I want to just step in. Sorry, Nahid. I just want to step in here once because we all come from a common background. We have a cultural affinity towards nodding as a mark of respect as well as a mark of giving that, what Nahid said, I'm listening to you, you've got my attention. But I've learned it with Nahid, through Nahid. Actually, it's our subconscious that is sinking in when you are truly listening. So this is where this bit about that we are listening with our eyes and our ears and our head and our heart comes into play. Apologies, Nahid. Sorry. I just wanted to bring that background in context.
No apologies at all. It adds. So this is what Joy said is exactly right. See, in our culture, we've been taught actually that, when you're listening to somebody, give them your acknowledgement. So, and most of the time we will see people doing this without even listening to what the person is saying, or rather I should say even without hearing to what the person is saying. And I say hearing here, it's because they are zoned out. They are in a different world of their own. If you ask them a question of what was being said, they will say, okay, can you repeat the question, please? And it's not that we, sometimes what happens is that because there are so many things going on in life, there are so many things which are running in our head, so many thoughts, I need to do this, I need to call that person up, oh, I have not yet sent that invoice. Something or the other, which is very, very human, are running inside our head. And what happens is when they are, and we go in that flow, then we've stopped listening with our head, we've stopped listening with our eyes, we've stopped listening with our heart, and even the ears, we've stopped listening. Then we are not even hearing, because what happens at that moment, if that person comes and says, okay, can you please tell me what should I do? And you are like lost. Can you repeat the question? So this is something very common and happens most of the time without us knowing that we are doing it consciously. So when we become aware, consciously aware that this does happen and this is how we are supposed to listen, or this is what listening is all about, or this is the difference between listening and hearing, it makes it even more easier for us to arrest those thoughts when it comes and says, no, I'm supposed to listen. I'm supposed to listen. So I'm supposed to look at that person, see that person's facial expressions, which is right now, see, if I look at your facial expression, that you're smiling, and Arun is frozen. So I don't know what Arun is enjoying. There you go. See, that smile speaks millions. It speaks so much, because when you smile, it gives the other person an affirmation that, okay, what I've said has not just gone in here, but has gone in here. Because we smile from here, we don't smile from here. So if when you're in a conversation with a customer and you make them smile, then you can be rest assured that whatever you have said has been listened by the heart too, and not just by the ears and not just by the eyes. So this is another important thing. If you want your customers to make you, this actually is a tip which I'm pulling it up and putting it right now, is when you want your customers to actually listen to you more effectively, keep a smile on your face, irrelevant of whatever the topic is or whatever it is, and keep a big smile on your face, not just a constipated smile, but a big one, full flow. What happens then is that smile immediately changes the state of your customer. And when that state changes, now the customer is listening to you with his eyes, ears, head, and heart. So whatever you say will go zoop in and be absorbed inside. So it's a two-way street. You listen to the customer listens to you. It's a two-way street. And when you can actually create that rapport, then it's a pace and lead for both of you. So the customer says something, the customer paces you, and then you lead the customer into the solution. So now you've paced the customer, and then it's a beautiful journey of how you can take the customer through to where you want them to, and give them what it is that they want. So it's a win-win strategy, yep. Win-win situation. And that happens when we can create this connect. So let that smile come out, let that smile from year to year come out. It makes a huge difference. Arun, you've got a beautiful smile, by the way. Should let it out more often. Thank you.
I was always smiling myself because I learned this kind of the things in my marketing journey. Mm-hmm. When I deliver my smile first to my customer, then whatever I say, they will listen. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I will just go there. I just show my face like very silent. They're not even ready to listen me. Even if I say anything in a very full energy, my face is not first even delivery the smile. The smile is very important.
Very, very important. And I remember when I was doing this workshop for a group of school senior leaders here in UAE, and there was this one particular teacher who had the beautifulest, most biggest smile on her face. And there were all other teachers, and they were all smiling. But something about this teacher was all about warmth. It was all about affection, and it was all about acceptance. And all of those could be, communicated with just the smile. And then when we were talking and she was telling about her class experiences and everything, she did say this, that her students feel this different connection with her. In fact, this is not just the one. I had a teacher back home in India that I had done a workshop for, and she was pretty old. She's in her 60s, so she's this grandmotherly type, and she has the biggest smile on her face, bright lit eyes, and she's like, wow, it's like, even when I was there, I felt like some kind of a family connection with this person, who was so beautifully smiling at me, just like my aunt would smile when she's listening to me. And it was amazing the way she was interacting and everything. And then she shared stories about how her students, when they come to her, they're like, they call her grandmom. Some even call her grandmom. For a teacher to transcend that limit and go into a place where children start looking at you as a grandmom, you've led them into a completely different atmosphere altogether. Absolutely. In their mind. Now, when the learning happens, it is not about the teacher teaching me something, but it's about Dadi Ma ki kahaniyan, so grandmom stories. So now it's being grasped like anything. And you could see that in her class. You could see that in her students. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, front of class?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's about a child. It's a true story about a person called Brian. I forgot his last name. Brian. He was a teacher, and he had this problem called Tourette's syndrome.
Tourette's, yeah.
Okay, so when he speaks, he's making
Twitching.
different noises,
Yeah.
very, very different noises. He wanted to become a teacher. And the whole story is about his struggle, about how many places he goes to and they don't take him on because of the Tourette syndrome. So how he goes and he becomes a teacher at the end, and he wins the best, in the very first year, he wins the award for the best teacher. And when he goes up to the stadium, to the podium to receive his award, his students were there in the audience. And this is a true story. And when he started saying that, I have had amazing teachers in my life, but the most consistent and the best teacher has been my Tourette's, because my Tourette's has taught me. And then his student raises his hand and says never to give up. And this was things which he had spoken when he had spoken to his students in the class about what is Tourette's. He had explained it to them and said that this is why I make these noises. So I am not mad, I'm not crazy, I'm not doing it on purpose. This is something which is a disease in me, and it comes like this. And they kept asking him questions in the class, in the first introductory session, asking whether it hurt or whatever it is. He listened, he responded, and they listened to him. So at the end of the year, when he's sitting in that room receiving the trophy, and then he's giving this and saying that my Tourette's taught me, they were the ones to lift up their hands and answer. Never to give up, that it's not a disability, it's your biggest strength. All of those things which he had said to them, they repeated after a year. And these were 7 years, 6 years old kids. So this explains how much it matters when we are listening to them, that they listen, that then they will listen to us. And then when you transcend into just from your titles and go into becoming humans with them, on a human to human connect, when you connect and when you communicate, it's absolutely different. And that's what I believe Joy brings out when he speaks about humanizing business, that how every single employee can become that brand ambassador who's not just about the company, but becomes about your customer. He becomes a part of your customer and not just a part of your company.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on that. I could take that on and run and keep everybody behind here for the next couple of hours. But the bottom line is this. Us human beings are already a brilliant creation. What we are trying to do is, if we keep it to simplicity, which is how would we interact with each other? Just exactly how do I want to feel is how I should make you feel. If you keep that as a first basic, simply the first base, nothing else matters. At that starting base, how do I want you to feel is how I want to feel. How do I want to feel? I want to feel happy. Now, each one of us will define happiness from very different perspectives because we come from different cultural backgrounds, different learnings and all of that. But take it to the professional area, take it to our work area. So let you say, I need to make sure the students are engaged. Okay, how do you make the students engaged? You do this, listening. Are you listening to them? Because when you listen, there's an automatic subconscious connectivity. I'm going to digress slightly and explain this. Naeem and I joke literally every day with a 4-hour time difference. She and I joke because there's one point in time in the day when our WhatsApp will interchange, our Telegram will cross. Always, it's always, there's one time in the day. And I'm a curious person by nature, being in marketing and looking at behavior. I'm very curious. And I said, I don't believe this is a coincidence. I don't believe this is fate. There is something else happening here. And why I'm sharing this is because I understood that I listen. I don't hear. When Nahid is explaining, she's talking, I'm actually listening. What do I mean with that? It's not just my cognitive faculties, my mind and my brain, but it's actually observing her, my eyes. It's actually understanding, comprehending her intention behind her selection of words, my head. And finally, I know I have so much of trust that what she's saying is actually good for me. That's where the heart comes in. So I'm just trying to rationalize that we make it complex. And I will share a story from automotive, from selling cars, which might just even clarify it more. I'm happy to have a separate conversation. I've spent 7.5 years in higher education, so that sector, and I'm talking with somebody out of Singapore on EdTech at the moment. So I'm happy to have that conversation with you. But I mean, your conversation with Nahid is on a different one. How to engage students and students at different genre, 6 years old, 10 years old, 8 years old, school, high school, going into university. They're all different people. Even now, me, if I give you my age, you'll fall off your seat. So I'm not going to give you. I'm just a young 35-year-old. I'm still learning. I still love being educated. But if somebody gives me a Wikipedia to read to give an exam, you don't have me. You've lost me. You've lost me at the word Wikipedia. You've just lost me there. You have to get my interest stimulated. And that's where this 4 areas of listening comes in. Back to you, Naeem.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much for explaining that. So that gives you a very good understanding of listening with the eyes, ears, head, and heart. I've written the name of the movie, Arun. You can take that from there. That's the name of the person is Brad Cohen, and he's a wonderful living example of what courage means. So yeah, just go ahead and watch the movie. It's there on Netflix. So when we speak about what happens, what hampers, what stops us from being able to listen, from being able to build that connect, from being able to build that connect, head and heart. And when the head and heart is not connected, the ears will anyways be disconnected. And the eyes will be seeing what I want to see, not what the other person is actually showing me. What happens? What are these filters? There are lots and lots of filters, but I'll just concentrate on 3: values, cultures, and experiences. What I mean by values, is it only about my own values? Not at all. My values are a subset of traditional values, family values, societal values, regional values, cultural values, religious values, all of those which I have been exposed to, which I have observed, which I've been told, which I have followed, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes asking questions, sometimes without any questions, just blind faith, blind belief, because that's how it's supposed to be done. So when I have those values and they form this value system inside me, so whenever somebody says something, it filters. There is this filter. It's like a sieve which is there in my head through which the communication goes. If it doesn't match with my values, then it is out. And a couple of drops which I agree or don't agree will fall in. Agree, I'll take it in. Don't agree, I'll come out and be vocal to you. But most of the information is lost at the very top of the sieve. It doesn't even enter the sieve, because it didn't match with a value system. So it doesn't get into, it gets into the funnel and it just evaporates. It's like if you see a funnel, the information gets into this funnel, and whatever doesn't agree or disagree with a value system, it's foreign language for us. It's alien, so it just evaporates. Rest which comes in, it either gives us something to agree or something to disagree with. That's the only 2 things. But this filter, what we call in NLP, is the meta model. The meta model describes how the communication actually is filtered, how we understand, how we perceive. It's beautiful. It tells you exactly how this mind listens and communicates. So the very first thing in a meta model is deletion, distortion, and generalization. And that is exactly what happens the moment any piece of information hits us. First thing, it is deleted. That means, so for example, if I say that on this piece of paper, if I were to ask you to bring the map of India, so we'll draw the map of India. And then I say that, okay, now can you start marking the important places in India? India has got 29 states. How many states could you mark on this piece of paper? Maybe all 29. All right, very good. Now, out of that 29, can you mark the important places in each state? Now, in a state, there may be so many important places, but because there is a paucity of space on this paper, you are going to mark those places which, according to you, may be the important places in India. When I look at that map and I say that, oh, but you've missed out marking this, and I pick that and I put it on that map again. And I say, no, this is not this important. This place that you've put in is not this important. So for example, in Delhi, the 10 places to go to Delhi, go when you're in Delhi. And somebody has written the Buland Darwaza, which is there, or the gate, Kashmiri gate, which is there in Old Delhi. So, okay, what is the significance of, I put it there because I love history. Maybe Joy says, what is the point? It's just a place in the middle of the road. There is nothing there. You don't get to stand there and see anything. People are passing, cars are flying. I don't want to go there. So I pick it up out of my map and I put something else in place of it. This is deletion which happens. And this happens unconsciously. So when we are talking to somebody, when I'm giving you this information right now, even for you, this deletion has happened.
It's happening right now as she's speaking.
Exactly. And it happens unconsciously because our values, our culture, our experiences have created these filters through which we see our information. So this deletion happens, and then distortion happens because, of course, if you are exposed to so much, like even now, I am saying at least nothing less than 300-400 words in the time that we've started till now. And our mind at any given point of time can only process 6 to 7 bits of information. So the rest, what I've said is it's here and it's all going, what do I do with this information? Right? So imagine when you're with your customers, whether your customers are children or whether your customers are adults and people that you need to sell to. Imagine when you're sitting with them and you're speaking to them. So they've taken in 6 to 7 bits of information and the rest is all here trying to understand, where do I fit in? Where do I go? Where do I go and park myself? And that's distortion. Now, when that distortion is happening inside their head, how much of listening is happening? How much of exact connected listening is happening? So what happens is that at that time, the mind says, okay, let me generalize this information quickly. So everybody says this, everybody thinks this, I have never done this, let's generalize. So I use these generalizations and then immediately now I can sort the information. But the fact is what you communicated and what was understood are two different things now, because it went through my DDG filters. All right. So this is the filter of listening, and it is not something which you put in. It is something which comes automatically. So till the time you do not become aware that you've got something like a filter like this, how are you ever going to make sure that your listening is becoming more effective, or your communication? I mean, you will go and you'll try to take in as many tools and skills as you want. But then isn't that just putting on a layer and on top of layer on top of layer on you without actually cleaning the filters? If you don't clean the filters, no matter how many layers you put on, the dirt stays inside. It's like without taking a bath, you just keep on changing your clothes. And then imagine, why is this stinking not going away?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
I had those kind of experience recently.
Yes,
Because, recently, I just attended continuously so many programs. So I just collected so many information. But when I just go before the bed, I just rewind the day. So what are the things I just collected from this kind of the mentor? So that time I exactly realized very few things only I just remember, but rest of the things everything is filtered out.
it's filtered out. Exactly. That's how it is. So how do we process this? Well, there is a very simple process in which helps your brain to start processing the information which it has grasped in. And that process, Joy knows about it. It's a magic process which is of 2 to 3 minutes. And I will make you do it when we finish this session so that you can also realize it. And Lechumi, you can certainly use it with students. It's wonderful when I use it with students.
I agree, Miss Nahid. Can I say a little bit? This, working with kids is amazing. I mean, we need to I always like to engage the children. After a lesson, after an introduction, how are we going to assess? Because we have different methods of teaching, different kinds of
Absolutely.
delivery styles and things like that.
Yes.
So before a child goes back, even though if we are limited by resources and teaching materials, right? A simple trick of game, a mind game to
Exactly.
integrate in the lesson, to
Yeah.
recap, in a fun manner for children to engage and come back the next day with their own creative ideas. So it really helps children to think that there are so many to accept that they are given the freedom of choice to explore in their own way of finding and finding solutions to problem solve.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll going forward here, you will be getting one more tip which will help you even more with your children, understanding your children and building that connect. Because with NLP, there is an entire study which has been done, and it is used extensively in education in the western part of the world. In fact, in America, there are NLP schools which are there for kids, and it's being used extensively to help kids foster their learning
yes.
and also treat disabilities, especially learning disabilities in children. And it's because it's a very simple fact. If you listen, you will understand what we are talking about. So it's going forward here. I just like to give this part off to Joy, because I know that
Yep.
this is his forte, and I'll come back. I'll jump in whenever it's needed.
Have either of you bought a car recently in the last 6 months, 1 year, pre-COVID? By any chance, bought a car? Anybody you know has bought a car? Because I'm going to share a story to elaborate on these 2 points why listening is so very important in understanding your customer behavior. And I'm going to narrate something that we are collating as one of our white papers from the automotive side. But the point here is, Naeed mentioned this, irrespective of the fact whether your customer is in business or you're talking to a student in class, this is a behavior. You are learning how to listen and pick up cues that help you walk your customer through in a way that they prefer. They feel comfortable, they feel good. So I'm just going to share this story. Pardon me, because my notes are on the phone, so I'm just looking down and taking the notes and sharing it with you. So here's how literally a car salesman post the training is recapping what happened in the exchange with the car buyer. So the car salesman was asking the buyer, what was the first thing that made you buy this car? Why? And this is all happening at the showroom setting, and the salesman's asking, what made you, what was the first thing that made you want to come in and buy this car? And said, you know what, I saw it in the catalog and it just jumped out. It looked amazing. So the salesman said, oh, okay. So is that what made you? Is that the second thing that made you sort of come to the showroom? Said, yeah, exactly. I wanted to come in because I wanted to see how I feel when I sit inside the car. Now, see what the customer's playing back here. I'm going to start giving you a parallel. It's not about, the customer's not spoken anything about money. Customer's not spoken anything about color. But something has made the customer's mind pick up to say, this is a wow car, and I need to physically be in the car to see, in my mind's eye, am I going to be looking good? Outward, would I be looking good? And he's come to the showroom. And at the showroom, the salesman said, so why don't you sit down and why don't you take a look and why don't you try it? And the customer says, why not? So the salesman says, let's do one thing here. Why don't we look at our catalog fully to see if there are any other models that might look amazing to you? And we can then look at those models since you're right here. And this is called upgrade selling. The guy came in with a particular model and pick color and everything in mind. But the salesman, given the background of listening and understanding the mindset of what the customer is communicating, brings the change around to upgrade and sell. He's doing for his own business, because if he sells a higher model, commission goes up, the company earns more money. But he's doing it in a manner that makes the customer feel that the customer is actually leading. They do the sale. They actually have the sale at the end of it. So this is where understanding customer behavior comes in. Now, can we understand that behavior if we don't understand how to listen? My answer, honestly, after 33 years in pure marketing, no. I learned to really listen. I learned to really see the distinction working with Naheed. Once I understood that, it's become like this for me to understand the behavior coming in. Like she said, our brains can process a few words. As a communicator, I'll tell you this and let you probably feel this better. Make your sentences as short as possible. I'm a vociferous writer, right? Today, I force myself to try and have my sentence in 6 words. Look at the headline of this slide. 7 words. I still want to edit it. So the point here is that when you listen, what it does when you learn about listening is you become active. Active listener. You take the right words based on what's going to cue your, I'll use the word customer out there. And what that creates is it creates that affinity. This is where the hearts connect. The customer loses the cynicism of saying, oh, Arun is a salesman, he's trying to sell it to me, higher commission. It goes away. You're circumventing that to say, I actually bother about how good you're going to look, and I want to be careful that it's not over your budget. But to be very honest, if you spend this 10,000 more, this upgrade is going to be helpful in the next 5 years that you're going to have the car. And I'm using that car as an example. So let's just take anything. Fridge. Today we'll go and buy a fridge probably at the supermarket, at one of the big retail chains in the electronic hubs, or we'll do it online. But there are certain criterias we select when we are buying a fridge. It's the same thing if you're talking or you're on chat. I'm talking about type chat, and this is where the shortness of sentence helps. When you make it short, the brain picks it up. It can process it. There is no deletion, distortion happening. You get engagement. That's how listening helps you create success in your business. Back to you, Naheed. 3 tips.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. My tips will actually transcend from here because Joy, the example that Joy gave you, here when we are listening, the first tip, the listen with your head, heart, eyes, and ears. When Joy said about the customer coming in saying that I looked at the catalog and the cars looked amazing. And then I went to the showroom and I set to see how it feels. Now here, the cue words, look. Okay, so the customer said that when I looked at the catalog, the car looked amazing. So the very first strategy here was for the customer that for anything to buy, he first needs to see it. How does it look? See, all of us, we have 5 representational systems in which we communicate, whether we are communicating internally or externally, and we are always communicating, whether we are taking in information or giving out information. These 5 senses are the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. And we all, every single individual on this earth has got their own preferential style of communication. And they give this style out to you when they speak. Like this customer said, I looked at the catalog and what I saw the cars looked amazing. So first thing for him to get into anything is to see it. And then I went to the showroom to sit down in it and see how it feels. So second came the feeling. After seeing it, he wants to know how it feels. All right. So we all have this. So when we are actually listening, we'll be able to pick up these cue words. What are these customers saying? Oh, no, I don't think I've heard good reviews about this. If that is the first word that the customer says, then it doesn't matter if you show him the car in front of his eyes. He's still not going to like it because his reviews are running in his head. So before you show him the car, you need to tackle those reviews and then show him the car. But what happens is the common mistake is, no, I understand you must have heard, but why don't you take a look at the car? Or when you say, why don't you take a look at the car, you've lost the customer because you've not been able to convince him. So even when he's looking at the car, he's looking with the critical eye. Oh no, they told me that the car, the battery of the car is okay. Can you tell me what is the battery pack? Can you tell me what is the battery size? I will be asking more critical questions coming from those deletion, distortion, generalization, which has happened because of whatever I've listened. So I am functioning on that. And if I don't listen to what the other person is saying, if I don't pick up these cue words, then there is no subconscious connect. But what happened in this last case, which Joy has told you about, in which what happens when we listen to somebody is that there is a subconscious connect, irrelevant of whether you've made it or not, you're conscious of it or not. It doesn't wait for you to be conscious. The subconscious connects happens all by themselves when we are in rapport with somebody, when we are mirroring their words, which happened in the case of the salesperson that we've just heard about, that Joy just gave the example. They mirrored the words. When you mirror the words, you have a subconscious connect with the other person's subconscious. And at that time, this conscious mind's objections becomes very suppressed. And it is not suppressed forcefully, it's suppressed because now the unconscious communication is happening. There are two types of communication: the conscious communication, which is a thinking mind, and we think and communicate, we think and answer, we think and apply. And then there is the subconscious mind, which is not thinking, which is connecting. And that connect happens when we are listening with our four senses. So the very first thing that we need to do when we are listening to somebody and we want to, that DDG model, we actually want to stop it from taking away the information, question. If you have perceived that no, I don't think I've heard it right, what makes me say that? Just asking this one question will be enough to shake off all those DDGs and then just put in that information coming in. Okay, because of this, because of that, or because maybe I thought like this. Some of the information will seep in through that. But if you do not question, if we do not question our perceptions or our assumptions, we will always be stuck with believing what we think to be true. And that means deleting, distorting, and generalizing a lot of information and then not connecting. So when you question your perception, the third tip happens, which is judgments goes away. So then it'll be, let me listen to Joy. Hey, whether he is right or wrong, irrelevant. Let me first just listen to him. And when you listen, the magic happens. So that's where I would like to stop. And now we'd like to listen to your questions.
So all yours. Any question that you all have, feel free, shoot it, we'll take it on.
I really like that the communication. So you told me that the two types of communication, conscious communication as well as the unconscious communication. I really felt it in my the marketing side when I was communicating with my clients. So initial period I don't know. I'm not aware about the conscious communication and unconscious communication, but depends on the experience. I first listening to them. They just say what are the new acceptance in the market. They first initially say, and first I just sit and listen them. Carefully. After that, I just little bit processing in my mind, and after that I will give the answer. And whenever the client is asking any question, I never ever give the answer immediately. I will repeat the question in different way to them.
Very good. That's reframing. And that
Very good.
What it gives you is also the time to your mind to process the information on how to respond to the customer. And especially, I always teach this when I go for a communication workshop, is that never ever reply to a question immediately. Take a pause. Let your brain process that question, that information, and then respond. And it is always good if you can start that response with reframing that question, as you said, or even repeat this question to the client. Because when you repeat that question to the client, even your brain is processing that question once again. And at the same time, the other person is building a connect with you. So then when you answer, then that connect is already there. So the answer goes in through the filters immediately to the person's inside the person's head, head and heart. So that's a fabulous technique.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And one more thing I was just doing in my marketing, it's like a reverse method. So whenever my clients or anybody get asking any other thing, I will always give the pass, and later only I will give that.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you, Arun. Thank you so much for sharing this. Lechumi? Your experiences will be different. It will be with
my experiences. I think they will be a bit different.
Yes,
I'm not too sure. I think I'll just bring it to another area. Okay, like for instance, how do we how do we make somebody or give allow somebody to be comfortable, students to be comfortable to ask questions. Sometimes we don't ask questions because we are not given the choice to speak, and in fact young adults, right? The interaction is now always on tags and everything, and some I had a lesson like with the students. I said, how do we know when we text somebody that the person is the recipient is actually reading it from our point of view? Okay, maybe understanding without listening from us. Like if I don't talk to the person, the other side is not going to understand the tone of voice, the concern, will not understand the urgency, why I need to explain in certain way, so all these things actually is important. But yeah, so when children's, I think with children's and adult is something similar. I think what is practiced for kids in the nowadays, it carries through adulthood. The miscommunication that happens without listening. We don't listen. When we type, we constantly type. When we are, even when we are so much in love, you express so much. You don't know how to explain in words, but you type it out. And same thing when somebody is angry, especially in corporate world, never reply an email when there's a dispute, and when there's at the heat of the moment, do not reply anything.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So having both experiences, so I apply it with children also. It's easier to actually make children understand, and giving them the choice and the freedom of expressing themselves. They are able to understand themselves better, what they need actually, because they need to express, they need to tell the teachers or the educators what they understand and what they don't understand. We cannot, as an educator, we are not educators. Not all educators are has the psychic knowledge. Okay, they don't have that instinct or capability to understand the needs of the child. It requires a lot more than psychology studies. It requires a lot of practice, to understand behavioral of the student and the children. So this is actually the biggest barrier, I think, when we are communicating with children, and also with we have, of course, organizations, transpiring communications to deliver messages and all. So often we don't listen because it doesn't meet the person's requirement. People only want to listen what suits them best.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where the values and the experience
Yes,
and the
Exactly.
tradition
yes.
comes into
So
play.
if it doesn't serve my purpose, it doesn't serve me, give me the best benefit, I'm not going to listen. Those kind of things.
No, you're right. I mean, I'll jump in over here and give an example. Or not give an example. Agree with you first. You have a discipline in communication called corporate communication.
Yes.
And then you have another discipline also in the marketing department called marketing communication.
Mhm.
Now you go to a telecommunication company and you are also in communication.
Mhm.
All of these are English words, right? Corporate communication, marketing communication, telecommunication. Commonality is communication. My
Yes.
point is, are we looking at communications? I've been across all three and I'm going to share this. Lakshmi, you're right. We want to listen what we want to listen. It's like the mind, the eye sees what the mind wants it to see. It's literally like that. Now, this is where we can cry about the fact that this is a problem. Yes, it's a problem. So, in the communication world, people talk about communication tools, one of which happens to be, like I just shared, shorter sentences, active words, which go. Naheed takes it a step further and deeper. It's actually understanding what's your insight. What is your connect from inside? Can I understand how to listen to you? So I pause, I listen, I give the question back to you, or I give the statement back to you as if I'm clarifying, which allows you to say something more, right? And then I pick up. I looked at the picture and I loved the car. I felt I need to come and see the car in the showroom. So you pick out those keywords. You pick it out and then you start communicating. Now this is the part that starts making difference in business, which we are doing, we're bringing out. And this comes back to take your career, Lakshmi. You've been an educator and you're actually serving a group of kids. But your environment is you're working with a group of administrators slash executive, which is a business. They need to understand you. You need to understand them. Together, you're able to serve the kids who are what is paying the fees and everything to the institution.
The
Now,
stakeholders.
correct. The stakeholders, this is what I bring to the table and I work with Naheed is if you don't take Lakshmi to be Lakshmi and what is her needs, aspirations, hopes, put that on the table. Take Arun's needs, aspirations, and hopes, put it on the table. So Arun is the marketing head, Lakshmi is the educational head. They're two heads, but they're two human beings. They're two unique creatures who have different hopes, aspirations. Take it. Is there a commonality? If we have a commonality, can we align that to the values of our brand, of the business? That becomes one communication that needs to be communicated. And there's a science to how you communicate that values are. That is humanizing because then we are respectively standing up to our end user, representing in our name. Joy is standing and talking about communication from Clarity Talks. So there's a representation of Clarity Talks for communications from Joy. But when it comes to the representation of the mindset, Naheed is representing mindset from Clarity Talks. People get very clear. Oh, so Joy and Naheed work together. She does mindset, he does comms. That's what the essence of Clarity Talks is. And I'm using us to give you how it works in the business world. Will people take it? That's our mission. Our mission is to go out there and provide this clarity and help businesses do it up, which is why we are running. I mean, for example, this webinar, thank you for both of you all being there. Having a sign up of 16 and having 3 people on is good enough. It's our give. It's our give. We participated in something that we do every year called hashtag do one give, and you can look it up on LinkedIn. But we're giving to share what we understand and we know how it works. And if it helps y'all come back and take additional help from us. Go ahead and use it in your day-to-day life. And that's why our podcast and everything we do has 3 tips. It's meant for immediate use. That's all. Thank you. Really appreciate the time. Naheed, last words.
Thank you. Just a few things that I would like to say to you, Lechumi, about the very first thing you said is when we communicate, we expect the other person to understand. Okay. Now, when you communicate, the expectation should be about, am I understanding the other person? But what happens is that in the normal circumstances, and it's human behavior, that when I say something, my expectation is that Joy, Lachumi, Abir, and Arun should be understanding. Okay. Now, here what happens, and I throw my burden of expectations on you. That hampers my listening. Because now I'm listening to whether you've understood me. I'm not listening to understand how do you understand. And I would have got that even in the very first 2 minutes of introduction when you said that, hi, my name is Lakshmi and I do this, or you just come in and say something. For example, a child enters into a classroom and with the expression on the child's face, with the gesture, whether it's a hi or whether it's a hi, or how is it? What is the gesture? Like my son, the moment he enters into the classroom, he goes and hugs his teacher. When he leaves the classroom, he hugs his teacher. I know that his preferential communication style is kinesthetic. If I have to speak to him about anything, it starts with, how do you feel? How do you feel? And then immediately he's on board with it. He's on the same page with it. He's taken in and he is connected with me. But the moment I say that, okay, are you listening to what I'm saying? Because I expect him to listen, I've lost him. So it's as simple as that, taking that small cue of maybe just looking at the person's body language, maybe just looking at the person, the way he's shook your hand, or just, there are a couple of, brilliant things which NLP gives us. Like, for example, eye accessing cues. Just by looking at a person's eyes, you can tell whether the person is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or what is happening inside that person's mind, just with the eyes. And once you do that, you know what you need to say next. So there is no expectation to understand, because now you're not throwing darts in the blind. You actually know where is bullseye for you. So that's that, and it is simple. You don't need to have any training in psychology to do that. You don't need to have any training in behavior to do that. A couple of tricks which you can take, a couple of tips which you can take, you can apply, and that immediately makes your own clarity in listening go tenfold. And at that, thank you.
Done. At that, we'd like to call it a day for this. It's beyond an hour right now.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joy.
Pleasure. Yeah, any questions, shoot it back to us. You're connected on all social medias that you'll need. Just shoot it back. We'll be happy to answer. Have a great evening. All right.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.